a most beautiful and glorious welcome, precious souls, to the mystical saints from here on the hill. In this video, I will be sharing with you about one amazing woman, yes, a mystical one, and we know her as Mary of Egypt, who lived in the 4th and 5th centuries. She is well known in certain circles, and her story is read on the 5th Sunday of Lent in the Eastern Orthodox Christian Church. Mary led a life far from anything connected to God in her earlier years. Her life was wrapped around her out-of-control desires for men. It was an icon, though, of Mother Mary in Jerusalem that transformed Mary's life into a sacred desert hermit. She lived and breathed for lust. These energies constantly were burning in her, not always for money, but for her own pleasure. Something else was controlling her being from the inside out, outside in, inspired by the dark ones. So for 17 years, this deep lust ruled and controlled her daily life. One day, she boarded a ship of pilgrims headed to Jerusalem, not to worship, but to tempt and seduce the men and hoping to get money to pay her way. After being in Jerusalem one day, she followed the crowds to the church for the exaltation of the cross. An invisible barrier would not let her enter into the church. She tried 3 times, but something mystical was calling her into the church, though. She then realized it is her own impurity stopping her. She looked around and saw an icon of Mama Mary. She felt her knees weeping and weeping, knowing this was the sacred reason she came on the ship to Jerusalem and now to this church. There was this divine love in the air that was bringing a cleansing down, way down, deep within her. She begged Mama Mary to allow her to enter the church, and if she could, she would turn her life around from self and more self to God. You see, souls of the more, the divine love of God was sifting and flowing through this precious soul. She was worthy of the divine transforming love of God. She went into the church and she was being touched and moved eternally inwardly. She came out of the church and kneeled once again at the icon of Mama Mary. A radical change occurred within Mary. Rev will start to call her M. Then M heard a voice say to her, quote, "Go beyond the Jordan, and you will find glorious rest," end of quote. Glorious rest is a powerful place to be in and to breathe in and to walk in. A key person that is so important in M's journey is Zosimas. He was a desert priest who lived in a monastery. Basically, you could say he was a monk since his childhood. As a child and as an adult, he was searching for the more constantly, and his spiritual walk was known throughout the land. At 53, an angel came and called him to a hidden monastery along the Jordan River. Each year during the Lenten fast, all the monks went out to the desert and came back at Easter. Zosimas knew there was more beyond the more, which is beyond the more. He just knew. So M agreed with this divine voice at the church, and then a stranger in the city gave her 3 coins, and she bought 3 loaves of bread and headed out to the desert as told. For decades, she lived alone. Some say for 47 years. God was cleansing Mary to her inner depths, gave her understanding of who she was and why she was here, and how her life was actually vacant before her divine transformation of her head thoughts and her heart thoughts. Think about this for a moment. She did not attend church, did not receive communion except once at the end of her life, maybe twice, went to confession just once, but it was God who sent her to the desert, and it was God touching her daily with the divine glowing flow. One day, the monk Zosimas was walking in the desert from his monastery outside Jerusalem. He was 20 days into his deep Lenten desert journey. He stopped to pray and he saw a strange naked image. Was it a devil? What was that? Zosimas started to run towards this image, and the image kept running further away from him. He was yelling at this image to stop. This naked image was gliding along who had dark skin and white hair. Finally, this gliding naked image stopped and hid herself and shouted back, quote, "Forgive me, Father, for I am a woman and I'm naked. Please throw me your outer garment so I can cover myself and ask for your blessing." End of quote. She knew who he was from God. They both threw themselves on the ground asking for one another's blessing. The energy there was very sacred. Zosimas knew he found more of the depth of the divine flow. Em was praying for Zosimas, and he noticed how high she was being lifted into the air, just floating there, praying for him. Zosimas now knows this figure, this woman, is a spirit of great holiness. Now covered up, they begin to talk and share. He begs Em to explain how she got there in the desert. This turns into a confession wrapped in the glory of God. Em shared how she ran away from home at 12 years old to sell her body in Alexandria. She lived that life for 17 years. Many times she would not even charge, just live for the lust. She became an addict to sex. In the desert, she ate herbs and insects and locusts. Her clothes eventually fell apart. Em had a leathery skin, but she was luminous, radiating the divine glow through her flow of her glorious, glorious connections. She learned nothing from books, but yet understood the Word of God in her 40-plus years there in the desert. Before Father leaves to continue his Lenten journey in the desert, Em informs him, quote, "And 1 year, at sunset, please bring me the Holy Eucharist to the banks of the Jordan," end of quote. 1 year later, Em comes walking across on top of the water of the Jordan towards Zosimas, and he falls at her feet when she reaches the other side. She says to him, "Get up, because you are carrying the Eucharist, communion." After receiving communion, she says to him and to the Lord, quote, "Lord, let us now, thy servant, depart in peace according to thy word," end of quote. Then Em crossed back over on top of the water to the other side of the Jordan. Father Zosimas, on her departure, knew how far away he was from perfection by who Em had become. He realized there's more and even more beyond that more. 1 year later, Father Zosimas returns to visit Em, and he found Saint Mary of Egypt lying dead. Her hands crossed over her and her face turned to the east. He kissed her feet, cried for a very long time. There was a note in the dirt to bury her right there. But Father Zosimas was recovering from an illness and was too weak to dig a grave for her. Offer a prayer. A gentle line arrives. That answer to that prayer and starts digging a grave for the saintly woman. Yes, Em was beautiful on the outside, but she abused this beauty for darker ways. But with her transformation, her spiritual beauty was ever expanding eternally. Saint Mary of Egypt followed the path of true humility, true obedience through sacred grace. Thank you, precious ones of the more, for being here. You truly are a gift of the more, and there's so much more for you. I appreciate your presence here. Till next time, take care. God bless.